This episode of Dispatches from Planet Albany is brought to you with support by New York State United Teachers, which represents more than 600,000 educators and school-related professionals in New York. Dispatches is also supported by the public affairs firm O'Donnell & Associates. For more information, check out o'donnellsolutions.com.
Ms. Lunsford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We're now going to turn our attention to Rules Report 345 by Ms. Lunsford. The fix is in.
Thank you.
I'm calling what I want.
I've also declared war on potholes, so here's the first shot across the bow.
Well, as you know, with Planet Albany, there's always something that makes the planet turn.
And it's this amazing view of D.C., and Eddie Vedder comes out. And he goes, "You have a cigarette?" And I've never smoked in my life, but if I had, I wish that was the moment.
And this strategy takes us from potholes to knotholes.
I would like to say it was a pleasure, Mr. Kim. But I'm on the road.
I'm David Lombardo, and this is Dispatches from Planet Albany, a podcast about power and politics in New York State government. I was on vacation for most of this week, so today's episode will be the leftovers from a recent conversation with Assembly Minority Leader Ed Rah. We talked with the Long Island Republican about the benefits of maintaining a good relationship with Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie, while also considering how the GOP might be able to squeeze the Assembly majority in 2027, and we tested his knowledge of the candidates looking to join his conference next year. And if you enjoy the show, don't forget to leave us a rating and review, as it helps other New York political nerds find the program. When you got elevated, we talked about the importance of maintaining a good relationship with the speaker. Do you feel like that effort paid any dividends? Is there something you look back on that the session is in the rearview mirror and say, hey, we were able to get our local bills through. We were able to secure some sort of grant money. I mean, did it seem like it was worth that relationship?
Yes, absolutely. I won't talk about, our private conversations we've had with each other, but I think that it was a very stressful session for all of the members of the legislature. We had, a very small amount of time post budget to get things done, in particular local bills. And I think our working relationship and understanding of what everybody's role was and what we had to get done, I think helped get us out of town with having, for the most part, gotten those local bills done, for us getting some resources for our members to be able to bring back to their districts. And I think that is a relationship that, I value moving forward. We actually just got to spend on a more, non-political, casual setting a few weeks ago. We were up in Lake George. They did a ribbon cutting on a amphitheater that had been reopened. And it was good to see the speaker outside of the pressures of the political session.
Well, what does it mean to be on good terms with the speaker? Is it the government operations side of things where you are agreeing, hey, we're not going to, debate every single bill, or does it mean having to listen to him as he tries to play Purple Rain on his guitar?
Well, he Purple Rain. I know that's one of his big interests is Preds, but yeah, I mean, look, he is has a great personality with regard to those types of things. Whether it's that Star Trek, I know he had been up there previously in the Lake George area for the they had some type of Star Trek exhibit up there.
They have a recreation of the bridge of the Enterprise up in Ticonderoga, if I remember correctly.
Not Star Trek isn't my thing. If I showed up there, I'd be looking for Yoda.
Hey, Star Wars is better than Star Trek. I think we can all agree on that.
But no, it's I think it's been a relationship of just trying to do what we have to do for our members. I wouldn't say it's more so don't debate this. It's more so just give me a sense on what this looks like so we can figure out, timing. To his credit, when you get to the end of the session and somebody's saying, hey, this is what time we got to get out of here. I'm not doing, all night. He really did his best to wrap things up, which is helpful because It used to be the Assembly was the all-night house, and the Senate wouldn't do it, and we seem to have totally turned that on its head. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's better for the safety of our staff, and I think it's a lot easier to have people looking at bills in a rational way when they're not completely overtired.
What about the flow of the chamber next year? Because there's going to be a lot of turnover, and a lot of that is going to be within the Assembly Democratic Majority Conference, which is welcoming a lot of DSA members, and there is a sense that it's going to be maybe harder for the Speaker to wrangle votes and keep his House in order, which kind of seems to create an opportunity for the Assembly Republicans to add to the chaos or potentially be a calming force for the Speaker. So, one, what are your expectations for the Assembly Democratic Conference next year? And two, do you see an opening if there are more dissension in the ranks amongst the Democrats?
Well, look, I am interested to see how that dynamic plays out with a larger number of Democratic Socialists. And then the obvious additional consequence of that is how many other, colleagues on the Democratic side are concerned that maybe they're the next target and are going to want to, really get in good with that group and push the issues they're pushing and all that type of stuff. So, I think I'm most concerned about which direction that pushes the chamber and the type of bills that we're voting on in. We've seen it with, a handful of Democratic Socialists, a dozen or so is I think, a different story. And obviously, I think Mayor Mondani has made it pretty clear that he's, not giving up by any means on, the tax increases that he's looking to get from Albany. He got the pay to tier this year, but he still wants to do those, the income tax on high earners and corporate tax increases in the city. And I think he's has these newly elected assembly members and senators who he supported and I think he's going to be relying on to push that message. So it is going to make things very interesting in our chamber. Like I said, I'd like to increase the number we have so that maybe that squeezes on both ends. But
well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about when it comes to that chaos.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I will say when I first got elected in 2010, we had 51 in our conference, and it was almost like the opposite end of it, in that we had 51, but there were a few on the other side who were worried because they had tough elections and weren't used to having tough elections. So it was a little bit more in that direction. But I think it's something that we're going to have to see how it plays out, because it's gonna change the dynamic in the chamber and maybe the weight that is given to some of those Democratic Socialist members, despite being freshmen, that maybe in many ways thought of as being the mouthpiece for the mayor.
What about you and your own internal dynamics? Have you felt any pressure from any of the wings of your party, because you sort of present as the moderate, reasonable Republican who's, maybe going to weigh everything, as opposed to some people who might feel very more ideologically about stuff and might not have patience for that? So are you feeling any pressure as the leader now of a statewide conference from either your own members or Republican voters?
I think that I wouldn't call it pressure. I think that we understand in our conference that we all have different districts. Long Island is not the same as the North Country or Western New York or the Capital Region. We have different districts we represent. Sometimes there are issues that are big in one area, not so much in the other area. And I don't think we mind having a diversity of opinions on any given topic because of that. I think, just looking at our conference as a whole, we have 12 open seats. That is certainly the thing that, is first and foremost when I think about how I'm looking at this fall. That is a lot of open seats to hopefully maintain while you're still trying to play a little offense. But I think for the most part, we're on the same page. We think we have an agenda we can sell to New Yorkers. I think that that's important, that we can't just be out there saying we're against what the other side is doing and has done. I think we actually have to have affirmative things that we can say that we stand for and how we would move the state forward. And I think we want to make sure that in all of these districts, we're actually telling a voter, what does it mean if you vote for a Republican for the New York State Assembly? Not just what am I against, certainly that's part of it, but what does it mean if you vote for a Republican member of the New York State Assembly?
So before I let you go, you mentioned your effort to grow the Assembly Republican Conference, and so I want to see how well you know some of those faces. And so I'm calling up the first challenger. Who am I looking at?
Alan Caruso.
That is correct.
You went right in your own backyard.
Number 2.
Dave Weber.
And where's David Weber running?
He is running in the Huntington area in western Suffolk County.
To replace?
Keith Brown.
Wow, way to go. Number 3.
Oh, Becky Whittish running in Judge Morinello's seat out in Niagara.
Excellent. You're 3 for 3. Do you feel confident going into the 4th one? Yes? Okay.
Is that Mr. Dobbins?
That is
That is the Brian Manctolo seat.
George Dobbins. Very good. All right. I'm laughing because I like this picture, which was a screenshot from YouTube. And you're laughing.
Mr. Weatherup running in Mr. Barkley's district.
5 for 5. So you really know your team. Was there anyone you were worried about? Any districts where you're like, I hope he doesn't pull up X, Y, and Z because I'm not that well versed?
No, but there's, as you can imagine, I mean, we obviously don't have 150 challengers, but there are a number of them that are, on the ballot in districts that are, shall we say, challenging.
Good luck, brother. We won't be sending any money your way, but we're rooting for you. And if for some reason you win, we'll sit you in January.
Yeah.
Well, we've been speaking with Assembly Minority Leader Ed Rah. He is a Nassau County Republican leader. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's our show. And a reminder to listeners who enjoy the program, please leave us a rating and review, as it helps other New York political nerds find dispatches from Planet Albany.
Most splash pads I'm aware of, being a splash pad frequenter myself, you typically don't see things kids are climbing up on as you would in, say, a water park. But to the extent that there is surfacing that your feet's supposed to go on, I suppose it would apply to all things feet go on.